And we are back with this week's PlayStation Blogcast. I'm your host, Sid Schumann.
The Lost the Recording Equipment edition.
Yeah, we might sound a little bit different to you today, and that would be because after our momentous and historic PS4 launch last week, I lost the podcast gear.
So when you say lost, where is it?
Is
it
somewhere.
In the hotel?
No, we've tried that.
Oh.
We think it somehow got packed up with some of the gear that was on site.
So we don't actually know where it is?
No.
You didn't tell me that part.
No, we have...
We were like, oh, it'll be here next week.
We have top people on the job. They're out looking for it. They're canvassing.
That's why Justin's not here.
That's right.
It's Justin. He's still in New York City.
But Justin may not be here, but I'll tell you who is here. Nick Sutner from PlayStation Developer Relations, downstairs.
So last week we decided on first names only.
Oh, yeah.
No
Nick,
last names, no titles.
Nick is here with us, and Ryan.
Hi.
Yeah.
The Powerhouse.
Love it.
The Powerhouse.
Yeah, I think nicknames, or first name plus nickname is sufficient.
Okay. And Ryan, you work with myself on the social media team here at PlayStation.
And it's a pleasure.
I'm glad that you could all make it here today.
Yes, thank you.
Good show. Good show today.
Yeah,
I like today's show.
It is. We have things...
It's a special show.
And this is the 99th episode.
It is.
I mean, we're
Jeez.
on the cusp of a whole new generation of Blogcast. Hardly, but
Season 3, maybe?
we're finally hitting the big triple digits, which kind of tickles me. I remember actually early on when we started PlayStation Blogcast, Nick, you insisted that we display it with 2 zeros and a 1.
And now you were like, oh, we'll never make it to 100.
Your decision is bearing fruit as we
thank
speak. The fruit is ripening.
Is that what we did? Was the 3 zeros?
Yeah, we've always done it like, episode 001, episode 002.
Smart. We should have done 4.
Yeah, what do we do?
Maybe we should. We've been threatening for years. Maybe we should finally run episode 0.
We don't have it anywhere.
Yeah, we do. I have it.
Oh, it's awful.
Maybe
though.
next week? Because we're going to take next week off for Thanksgiving.
We had this same debate last Thanksgiving.
I know. I'll have a listen. I think it's all right.
Okay.
That's all right. We'll see.
I don't know.
Anyway, what do we have on today's show, Sid?
We have, in our enhanced audio quality edition here, we've got our new releases for November 26th here in North America. That's for PSN and retail. That'll be across PS3, PS4 even, and a little PS Vita surprise in there. We're going to have a lot of PS4 post-launch impressions. We've all been playing it, I hope. Right, Nick? Do you have a PS4, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We all have PS4, so we're playing those like many of you. We're going to tell you just some of our favorite features from PS4, as well as, features we're digging, games we're really enjoying.
And you should also email and voicemail us with more of your impressions, because we need more. 650-288-6706 and blogcast@playstation.sony.com. I think we should play some of that stuff in episode 100.
I think that's a great plan.
So
now, just to get this part out of the way, next week's show on Thanksgiving, well, we probably won't have a
probably
new
won't have a show.
We'll be too busy gorging on turkey meat. But the week after, we'll be back with episode 100. So get excited.
Yeah.
Very special. But anyway, my highlight, I think, of today's show, though, is we've got 2 very special guests. We've got Mr. Scott Rohde. He's the Senior Vice President here at Worldwide Studios America and friend of the Blogcast. He and Shuhei Yoshida, the great Shuhei Yoshida. He's the president of Worldwide Studios. Both of these accomplished game designer gentlemen.
Dashing.
Are going to name their 10 favorite games of the PS3 generation.
Both great lists, both lengthy interviews. So
This is, strap yourself in for this one. There's some great games on the list. A lot of surprises, actually.
Yeah.
I was taken aback by some of the choices, but they're all great. And so it's hard to argue with any of them. And really, I was a lot of fun. Actually, I remember recording this, and the suspense was building because these guys put a lot of thought into this. This wasn't just, I kind of
arguably way more than we did.
Yeah, arguably so. And they kind of count them down. They name a number 1 and everything. So, I mean, I think it's kind of a historic show just based on that. I mean, it's one thing when we tell you what our 10 favorite PS3 games is, and it's something different when Shuhei and Scott Rohde do it. So there you go. Stay tuned for that. That's a big highlight of today's show. But let's just dive into those new releases for PSN and retail here in North America. As always, content and or details may change without notice and probably will. Obviously, we're basically at Thanksgiving week for next Tuesday, November 26th. So not a ton of super standout stuff. We did want to call out Tearaway.
Yeah, that's coming out this week.
That's actually out on Friday.
Yeah. Weird release timing, so we want to talk about it this week because we didn't mention it last week. It's great. I finished it last night.
Yeah? You finished it?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
You've been plowing ahead now.
You were kind enough to grant me with a little bit of an early copy. So I did, yeah. I've been playing it. I played it on the plane on the way home from New York. I'll talk about it later, though. How about that?
I like that. That's a good idea. Now, I've been seeing some very impressive review scores. Extremely impressive.
Extremely.
Great game, though.
Yeah, that perked my ears right up.
On Vita, both digital and at retail.
Yeah, and there's a bundle. So if you've been interested, yes, there's a hardware bundle for Tearaway. If you've been interested in trying out remote play on PS4, which I think everyone's been pretty amazed by, actually. I say this with a little bit of surprise. I just was a little skeptical of the technologies because it seems a little too black magic, and it works. So it might be a good option for you. Pick up Tearaway bundle. I think it's $1.99 and you get the game. So buy now. PS3, there is a digital game coming, Hyperdimension Neptunia Victory. This came out on retail a couple months back, 3-4 months back, I want to say. This is the series that is based around the console wars. Pretty funny. A lot of inside jokes if you're into that kind of thing. A couple of noteworthy PS1 classics as well. Metal Gear Solid VR missions. This was quite the release. I remember when this came out on PS1. We spent a lot of time with this. That was back when Metal Gear Solid just absolutely floored everybody. And it was just like, give me anything. And then it'd come out with the VR missions. So that's a nice little walk down memory lane. Those are pretty fun too. There's some clever ones. Oddworld Abe Box. That's coming to PS1 Classic. I'm not clear exactly on what it is.
That is it's a package of two of the older PS1 games. I think
probably
Odyssey and Exodus.
Yep, I'm sure. I would guess that's what it is.
Yeah, tentatively, it is a packaging of two Oddworld games.
There you go. Get more for your money. Only with Oddworld Abe Box.
I think it's Abe's Box. This might be a typo for me. I apologize.
Abe's Box.
Oh my.
Or it might be A Box.
A Box.
A Box.
Painkiller Hell and Damnation. That's coming to PlayStation Store on PS3. It's kind of a old school run and gun, kind of arcadey shooter against hordes enemies. If you're into I don't know, Serious Sam, that kind of stuff. It's cool. People Can Fly, if I'm not mistaken, created their title. That's
Painkiller?
Yeah, I think that's a People Can Fly title.
That could be true.
Yeah.
That could be true.
Famous for Bulletstorm.
Yep.
Saint Seiya, Brave Soldiers. That's coming to PlayStation Store for PS3.
Ryan, what can you tell us about that? I know you know.
It's based on a really old anime, and this is like a it's a 3D fighting game. I almost compare it to the Naruto games by CyberConnect 2, which we actually talked about recently on a past show. But this is Saint Seiya goes way back. It's an old school anime for sure.
Old school.
Super
Motherload. That's the sweet digging game that's on PS4. The indie self-published title. That's finally coming to PS3.
A gem on the PS4 launch lineup you may not have tried yet.
Now, can you confirm? Because I know you're close to this product. Okay.
Go on, finish that question.
Is it enabled for cross-buy?
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know the answer. Thank you for being honest.
I'm sure we'll know by the time you're hearing this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ease, Memory of Celtica? Celceta.
At least you got the East part right. I was impressed with that.
We were pretending it was like an Italian name, and we were like Celceta. But yeah, I don't think that's how you say it. Let's say Celceta.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's settle on Celceta. Ease, Memory of Celceta.
You want to tell us what Ease is?
That's coming to PS Vita, and that'll be digital on PlayStation Store as well as a retail.
A beloved
version.
series.
Yes, it's a really long-running RPG series.
We're talking like the mid-'80s.
This one goes back so far, and it's kind of a action-style battle system that's a little bit more free-roaming than some of the other ones, as far as I understand. It's probably one of the biggest worlds this team has put together in the series. And it's cool. It's just I think we've talked about it on the blog, so go to PlayStation blog and check out the post there, because we talk a little bit. The developers talk a little bit about kind of the history behind this game, and it goes back far.
Nice. So that's your lineup. I mean, there aren't gigantic blockbusters necessarily coming out, but
Tearaway is about as it gets for me. There's plenty. There is plenty.
You might have me there. Let's get some show feedback going. This is from Amy Yong.
I'm going to read this one because it's about you.
Please.
A haiku intervention from one Sid Schumann.
Oh, my.
With love we request of the blogcast Exodus from the cult of debt. Love Amy, which is amazing.
That is the best.
Thank you, Amy. So can we agree to ban that phrasing from the podcast?
I have been laying it on a little thick lately.
You have.
I actually shot it on the PlayStation official Twitter account the other day as well.
I saw. I was like, oh, I wonder who wrote that. The last week, the line between your Twitter account and the PlayStation Twitter account has been a very fine line.
Here at PlayStation, we believe in gamer personalities, and we don't shy away from gamer talk.
Right.
So, this one's from Blind Mango. I guess I should mention, you can email us at blogcast@playstation.sony.com. And just so you know, we're on a little bit of a different recording gear here this week, so gentlemen, your paper wrestling is really going to hurt my skin.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I'm done.
Okay, let's, if you want to email us, blogcast@playstation.sony.com. This one's from Blind Mango. 30 minutes in, and I've been laughing so very hard. I am loving the progression from episode 1 and how comfortable you guys are now with talking to each other. On the show, not afraid to hold back hilarious jokes, yet still be informative. I love it. Don't stop this format. Lol. 2 more episodes to 100. Also getting my PS4 tonight. This is fantastic. Big grin smiley face. He used the D for the big smile.
I'm just going to tear off this piece of paper as we go. That's a better approach.
Okay, I'll do that too.
Oh, nice.
Liberate your paper.
More show feedback from last week. This is from King Chile. Awesome episode. Haven't accidentally laughed out loud in a while. At least we finally know about the hidden cockle warming sticking it to the man side of the Blogcast crew. Definitely making me want to hang out with you guys post midnight. Pretty cool interview with Boogie too. I've never actually heard / seen him outside the Francis character.
Yeah, that was a weird night. Ryan looked like he was just gonna pass out.
I was pretty tired.
Because
that was fun though.
He's a rise and shine guy. He's up at 5 a.m. on Pacific time, and then you're on East Coast time, and you're up at midnight doing the podcast.
I think we need to do a midnight episode more often.
Yeah,
just once in a while, meet in the office. Everyone's gone home.
Nope. Well, that's so far away from my house, though. Midnight? No.
I'll give you a ride home.
Okay.
You want to take this last one, Ryan?
Sure. Is this from
Jorge YYZ?
Jorge YYZ. Writes, Dear Blogcast crew, I'm a first-time commentator but long-time listener. I'd like to congratulate you on a fantastic interview with Boogie2988. Very few times I've heard somebody speaking about gaming and life with such sensibility and thoughtfulness. You're going to have a very hard time topping him when it comes to special guests in episode 100. Well, be prepared, because our interviews coming up later in this show are amazing.
Oh my.
Other than that, I'd also like to say that I'm in love with the show. All the banter about food and movies that goes on between the games really makes the show special. Like Boogie2988 says, it's about the passion and the shared experiences. Around my house, gaming often goes hand in hand with food and movies. Please keep up the good work and congrats on the fantastic work you've all been doing. Best regards, or as we say here in Brazil, a big hug, Jorge YYZ.
Thank you. It seems like Boogie went over really well. I know meeting him was honestly maybe the highlight of my entire trip. And I heard that thought expressed from a lot of people. Justin was saying that. My brother Sammy was up for overnight just to hang out and see all the.
I didn't get to meet him.
Oh man!
You didn't introduce me.
Well, you know what? I got incredibly sick the night he came in. I mean, to the point where I was like,
You were a zombie, man. It was crazy.
It was bad, and I basically stayed in bed all day Friday. It was really bad. So that's probably what happened. He was only around for maybe 18 hours.
Right.
But he did get to see the PS4 launch. He saw all of that. Pretty exciting
stuff. He was a cool dude. I really enjoyed talking to him.
Yeah, Sammy had a great time. So.
Oh, no, I meant
as far as I know,
Boogie. But Sammy's awesome, too.
Yeah.
As far as I know, Sammy doesn't exist.
I know. I really liked meeting Sammy, too. Yeah. And hello to Sammy, because I think he listens to the show.
And hello to Boogie as well. Yes. Yeah, Sammy does listen to the show.
And a shout-out, my highlight of the week was seeing Mr. Joey Chu, I believe, who was hanging around our arcade area and was the first person in line, played a bunch of PS4 stuff, and then ended up being the person who was featured on the Spike special. Super great kid, super friendly. I was really happy to meet him, and seeing him on that special and how happy he was, and how they had signed the box, and Jack and Andy giving him the system, and just him doing the Banderas. Yeah, it was just an awesome moment. Great to see Joey on there. I don't know if he listens, but shout out to Joey.
I hope he does. We can all hope. So coming up in a little bit, we're gonna have Scott Rohde and Shuhei Yoshida name their 10 top games of the PS3 generation, but. Let's ease into
let's ease into
some gamer talk. Some authentic
some PS4
gamer
talk. This is exciting.
Yes.
It's like the first time we've talked about playing PS4 in our own homes.
Mm-hmm. It's remarkable, and we all work here. Mm-hmm. But I play all sorts of games. I mean, if it plays games, I probably own it or have played it a lot and appreciate it on some level. I mean, there's even an Ouya floating around in here, and people play that. Dat Tower Fall. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I already broke it.
This is your last show.
Yeah,
get out of your system.
I'm resigning.
But hey, speaking of Towerfall Ascension coming to PS4.
Yes.
Okay, let's run down those announcements for people. I think that adds a little bit of context. All this. So
Towerfall, most importantly.
Towerfall Ascension coming to PS4. Now, this is like a radically overhauled version of the game. I mean,
it's got a ton of extra stuff. It's got new levels and new archers and new variants and a co-op quest mode.
Which, I mean, that perked my ears up.
Yeah, I've heard it's amazing too. A lot of new stuff. So yeah, super excited about that.
And this is one of those games, I always worry games like this, people look at it and they go, it looks like an Atari game, it looks like an NES game, I'm not interested. This is a game you need to be interested in. This is a serious business game. It's on Ouya here in the office, and I mean, these PR guys in here, we're playing this thing today, and they can't contain themselves when they're playing this. I saw you standing there.
They've been asking me for like 6 months of like, when's it coming to PS4? And now it's coming to PS4, so I'm pretty happy about that. Go watch the new trailer on the blog if you didn't yet.
Is there a date yet for that? I'm sorry.
No, it's sort of like early-ish next year.
Early-ish next year.
First half of next year.
Great.
We can confirm it's not the last day of 2014. So there you go. I think that was certainly a highlight for me. Obviously, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. I always space on that title for some reason. That's going to have some PlayStation.
Deja Vu mission.
Yeah, the Deja Vu mission, where it's kind of a mashup of some of these classic missions, and you can play as the original low poly Solid Snake, which is pretty funny. We had
Uncharted.
Oh, Uncharted. Biggest news of the week, arguably, outside of obviously the launch itself.
Sure,
but,
yeah. It's big news.
It's huge. Naughty Dog, Amy Hennig, they're back. They're doing Uncharted, and it's coming to PS4. We just don't know anything else.
Right.
And as a first look as well at Naughty Dog's other big project, The Last of Us, Left Behind. This is sort of the prequel with Ellie and her friend. What was her name?
Riley.
Very good memory.
Is it Riley?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I hope that's known. Yeah, I think it is.
It is.
It's in the comic. It's in American Dreams.
What else did we announce?
Well, we announced
so many things. I
I can't even keep track of all of it. Infamous Second Son coming out March 21st in 2014. Obviously, one that people are going crazy for. And I mean, this is a good review here because it's giving me some talking points because I didn't prepare all that much. Infamous Second Son was playable at this launch event that we went to in New York, and it was really good. Did you agree with that, Ryan?
Absolutely. 100%.
It looks amazing. This is like the Infamous I've been waiting for.
I just love the neon dash power. That's so good.
The game is a delight.
I found there hasn't been a game with sort of environmental navigation since Hulk Ultimate Destruction was the last one for me that really set the bar. And this might be the first one to meet or surpass it.
Yes, and if you're a fan of like a Crackdown, I think this game is going to be one you want on your radar. This is definitely takes the stuff that Infamous does well, but it was just polished and refined. It was really accessible. The controls worked really well. A little bit almost of a shooter feel, like a third-person shooter feel, but you obviously don't have a gun. You're using neon and smoke, but it just meant that you could just immediately hop in, and it was just very fluid.
It felt a little more like immediate and fluid than the previous Infamous, because they have those elements as well, but now it's just sort of that dialed up and
they kind of like opened the floodgates on all these powers. So instead of kind of in the other games you had to sort of almost like aim down the sight, so to speak, to really shoot. In this game you can essentially fire from the hip, so you're just much more versatile, I think, as a combatant and in terms of your ability to traverse. So I was really, really digging that. Game looks great. It has this volumetric fog, the lighting is second to none. The animation is really impressive. Great frame rate, and it's early. They got lots of time to finish it. So,
quick note: neon and smoke powers. They would have been very fitting in New Marais, also in Infamous 2. Think about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Neon and smoke works.
Where were you during the development of Infamous 2?
Apparently, no, I wasn't there.
I think I was at IGN.
I was in the coffee room. I'm sorry.
What are you playing in your homes? I want to know about that.
Okay, so at home, I will be frank, and I will say that I've played a large amount of Resogun. That's probably been one of my biggest go-to.
What's your arcade high score? I haven't actually looked at you yet.
I actually don't have it memorized. I'll tell you, the first 5 or 6 times I played Resogun, I was like, man, this game is super fun and really, really pretty. I don't know what I'm doing. And it wasn't until I figured out you have to shoot all the little green ships, and that frees a human. You take him up
the
into
keepers.
Yeah, exactly. So now that I've got that, I didn't die across 2 whole worlds. I didn't die. And then a boss killed me. Then I was slain by an elf.
Yeah, I've been playing it a lot too. I think also understanding that structure is important, and also knowing that when you start the game in arcade mode, you're unlocking. I think there's 5 worlds. You're unlocking them as you go. But when you die on a level, you restart that level. So if you want to go for a high score, you should quit out and restart from the beginning of arcade mode to get as far as you can.
And also to get full multiplier, you have to go higher in the difficulty level because it caps your multiplier. Multiplier depending on your difficulty level.
That's important.
Yes, and apparently the higher difficulty levels, I'm fine with staying at the default, but if you go higher than that,
it's a tough game.
Enemies have revenge bullets that they shoot at you when you kill them.
It's great because even when I'm restarting the arcade mode and playing through the first level each time in my run, I'm constantly refining it and trying to get better at it. And even rescuing all the humans is tough. I've done it on the first and the third level, but it's hard.
It's
you really gotta.
And sometimes there's little dumb idiots and they run off a cliff or something. Right. I'm just like,
that's
just like us humans.
Us. The voice coming out of the controller is actually super helpful too. Pay attention when the keepers show up.
Yep. When they say keepers, find them. It's the glowing green guys. Shoot them all, and that'll free a human.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, that human dies. I guess, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Very, very cool game. Every single time.
Have you tried the online co-op yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, me neither. But I'm curious.
I'll tell you, Housemarque though, you can always count on Housemarque every time. I mean, when have they ever done anything that's not just stellar? So that's one of my favorite games. Battlefield 4, having a lot of fun with that. Been some difficulties with the conquest mode. I haven't had any luck getting into that. I think they're trying to work through those issues, but all the other modes, as far as I could tell, work. So I was playing Rush, which is sort of an aggro version of Conquest. Man, that game looks good too. Runs really smooth, plays really.
I'll probably check it out. I'm not much of a shooter guy, but just to see the prettiness.
The prettiness and
I do plan to start Killzone tonight, so I'll play through that.
That's also
I played through the last 2, and I did Killzone.
Yeah, extremely attractive title. I'll tell you, if I'm frank, I played some AC4. I'll talk about that in a second. I've purposefully been holding off a little bit on playing too much because I got a new hard drive coming and I don't want to have to re-download everything. It's like, where's this hard drive? Come on.
Right.
And I got the Seagate Momentous, the hybrid hard drive, 1 terabyte.
How much?
About $100, just a little over.
Right.
And according to benchmarks I've seen, that seems to be the guy. So yeah, I'm
that's the guy.
There's your big boy. So
talking about Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed 4, very, very pretty. They just released the patch to make it native 1080p with anti-aliasing on PS4. That's an accomplishment. I mean, I have to hand it to them. That's not easy to do. 1080p is pretty demanding. Native 1080p, not upscaled.
How different does the setting feel?
Feels really different, and it's funny too because I was like, the way the game starts. Can I just touch on the way the game starts without openly spoiling it too much? I mean, if you want virgin ears and eyes for the game, then I would tune out for 10 seconds here. But you start
longer than 10 seconds.
For 20 seconds with the way I go on. You start you're essentially like a pirate crew member. You're not an assassin when you start the game, and you sort of find assassin gear, and you're kind of like a.
Yeah. You have the Templar lineage in you or something?
Something like that, but you're not I'm not super far in the game, but you are a ship hand.
Okay.
However, all of those animations and all that behavior of assassins climbing and hanging, it works perfectly for a pirate character. Yeah. Yes, because they would be climbing all over ship riggings. Nice. So it's actually strangely fitting. I remember hearing pirates and thinking interesting. I mean, how are they going to make that work? And actually, it's more natural than I would have expected.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it. I love the first game. Still my favorite. I'm that weirdo. I think someone else agreed with me somewhere in our letters later. But and I played 2, and I played the first, Brotherhood
or Revelations.
And which one was first?
Brotherhood.
I played Brotherhood entirely. Revelations, I sort of stopped midway through, and then I barely touched 3. So I'm excited to really.
This one has a very quick start, and I know that was something some people didn't appreciate as much about the third game because there is a long extended prologue.
Right.
And this one, I found in my advanced old age as well, I get less patient for some of these cinemas. But
Assassin's
Creed 4 gets going
cinema
quickly.
scenes, as my girlfriend calls them.
Cinema scenes,
that's
cutscenes,
amazing. Yes.
Old school. They look great though, and they're over quickly, and you get right into the action. So you start controlling the game very quickly. Great looking game. The foliage with the physics-enabled foliage when you're creeping through it and it's rustling all over looks good.
Nice.
It's really
Have
cool.
you shared any? I saw you doing it on the PlayStation Twitter account, but have you shared screenshots? Oh, that was you. So you guys have been sharing screenshots on there?
Yeah.
Any video or anything?
We don't have an easy.
Streaming.
Yeah, we don't have an easy. We've been doing live streaming on Twitch, which is a delight.
Well, I mean the video capture on PS4.
Yeah, we have to output it to a Facebook page.
Yeah.
And
or you just save it on PS4 as well.
Yeah, you can save it on PS4,
Okay,
but
that's
then
just
you
what
can't
I've got.
really do anything with it past that.
But other people, but your friends can go watch it.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that's how that worked.
Yeah, and you're like...
We're still learning new things
right.
about PS4 every day.
I believe so, at least. On like the live feed, what's it called?
I thought that was
the feed area.
Yeah.
Someone can go see, like, Nick has posted a video and go watch that video just on the PS4 system.
I thought it was just when you shared it to Facebook and that's when it knew, but hey, maybe I'm wrong.
Oh.
I
hope I'm right.
Let's all dig in. Yeah. Let's all dig in and get to the truth.
You should go watch my shared NBA video.
Oh, yeah?
That's funny. Yeah.
What do you think NBA?
I love NBA 2K14.
Boy, is it pretty, too.
It is. So I'm a big basketball fan. I don't care about any other sports at all. But I grew up in Chicago in the '90s, so
it's against the law to not like basketball.
So I'm a huge Bulls fan. Have been for now like 20 years. So it is stunningly good looking, but it's also just a great game. And I haven't like played a basketball game in a few years, and there's so many things that are amazing. It is magical in a way, more so than any video game I've played in years. I didn't realize the functionality. So check this out, because I bet you guys didn't know this. Well, maybe you do because you wrote a preview, but I'm assuming you guys don't pay close attention to sports games, because I didn't.
Not so much.
So, all right. So the NBA Today feature. You turn on you boot up the game, you can get NBA Today. You see all the scoreboards from the real-life games that happened, like, today, including real-life video replays of, like, here's highlights from a game that happened today. Then you can go and jump onto a map that shows the lineup. So the other night I was like, oh, the Bulls played the Bobcats. It shows you on the map in Chicago. So you select that game, it then starts up that game, and then you play as the Bulls versus the Bobcats.
Oh my God.
So pulling in like the real life matchups, right? And during the game, it pulls in all like here's scores from around the league and the real NBA that's happening right now. So it's pulling in real life scores from other games and updating you. Between quarters, it's showing you previews of real life games coming, like check out later this week when the Magic play the Rockets, and like previews other games. It also, like, I don't even know how long this stuff is happening. On. It's like last night I was playing, and the commentators in it made reference to the fact that the Bulls in real life had just won 5 straight games.
How's
like,
that possible?
I don't know how it's possible. I'm saying it's like literally magical. And they're making reference to like the Bulls like crushing the Pacers this last night, like referencing recent real life things that there's no way they're like obviously not recording on the fly, like. I guess some sort of like, seaming up things, but it's amazing.
Those clowns in Congress.
Truly amazing. And yeah.
What a bunch of clowns.
What a bunch of clowns, yeah. You like that?
I loved it.
That's how I felt the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like, this machine's going to take our jobs.
It's going to put us all out of business, yeah.
And apparently I saw someone on NeoGaf say that they like got their dunk blocked and they swore out loud. And in the game, they got a foul for bad language because the mic is listening, and that actually is a feature. Where
so if you have
swear,
the camera, if you have PlayStation camera, and you have that activated, then if you swear, you get a foul.
Or just a microphone plugged in, you get a foul in game.
Wow.
So
yeah, I guess you can
there's all these things I keep discovering about it that are just amazing. It plays simply enough that as someone who played my last sports game I really played a lot of was NBA Live 97, so 16 years ago.
Hey now.
And I was able to pick it up and still the basic sort of controls are similar to I guess how they've always been. But they're just the animations are incredible. Different players play very differently. The commentators are ridiculous. Like they go super in depth on like any given player. It's amazing. It's an amazing experience, especially for someone like myself.
Listen to Nick here.
I know.
This is something else.
The other night, my girlfriend was like, "You're more excited about this game than anything I've ever seen you excited about." It's just stunning, especially for someone who's been out of sports games for a while.
Fascinating,
amazing.
Okay,
amazing,
I gotta try this out. Maybe this is. I need a sport. I need a sport.
Come over and watch some basketball.
And maybe it'll take a video game, a PS4 video game, to get me into sports.
I never thought I'd be talking that much about it, but that's now that is my sort of obsession. Been itching to go home and play more.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good.
Look at this.
I know.
Ryan, what about you?
We kind of covered it already, but I've been playing Black Flag probably the most besides Super Motherload, which we discussed.
Oh, you should talk about that too.
Okay, so which one first?
Oh, yeah, Black Flag.
All right, with Assassin's Creed, I think it's important to note that this is pretty much my first Assassin's Creed game. I played 2,
I'm in the same boat, actually.
I played 2 for maybe 45 minutes several years ago and thought it was really promising, got torn away from it. So, okay. So anyway, I think that when I look at Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I'm seeing one of the best ways to enter into the series. I feel like
I think so too.
They do, for better or worse, they remove a lot of the long-running narrative elements and kind of make it a more self-sufficient.
Self-contained.
Self-contained. Thank you. Self-centered.
It's all about that.
I'm the best.
Yeah. Very narcissistic.
Best Assassin's Creed. Look at me.
It's a very self-contained plot. And it's a character story. I'm always over the moon about games that have writing that's very witty and characters that are very witty. So that game in particular is the writer of Black Flag, when I interviewed him very briefly at one of the events recently, he said that his goal was to make Shakespeare light.
Yeah,
like it's approachable, but it's still it feels so antiquated, and it makes it so great the way that characters speak to each other.
Right.
And I actually think that's really cool.
Nice.
Also, you look at that map, and it's incredible the scope of the world that team created, and in kind of a remarkable amount of time. And when you think about how fast the Assassin's Creed series debuts new entries, I mean that's crazy.
That's great.
That they're turning that.
I don't know
stuff
how they
around.
pull it off.
I know they're magic. It's the same dark magic
same,
that,
yeah.
For the in the NBA.
They gotta like go into some mine in like Argentina and like mine out this dark gaming development magic.
These dark crystals.
We lost
yes.
4 men this trip. It's gotta be an easier way to get ice. Keeping on with the Simpsons quotes. Yeah, no. It's if you know a better way of getting ice, I'd like to hear it.
But Black Flag is awesome. It's beautiful. I'm so early on. I haven't even gotten access to my ship yet because I've just been wandering around this giant city.
I'm in that situation too. Yeah,
You're not in that boat actually.
Yeah, I veered off course on that one.
So,
Oh man.
as for Super Motherload,
Yeah.
as Sid mentioned, like don't ever neglect a game just because you don't think it has the kind of visuals that you're looking for. It's always about play.
I judge a game entirely on its live-action launch trailers, and for that reason, Super Motherload is Game of the Year.
You're gonna
you
love
go.
Binding of Isaac. Creepy puppet trailer.
Oh, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Very disturbing. When's that coming?
Next year?
No further details to share at this time?
No, not right now. I'm not in the mood.
Okay.
So Super Motherload is really addictive. It's kind of instantly rewarding. Like it's just fun to go down, start digging into Mars crust.
You playing single player?
Yeah, I'm actually playing single player. I tried playing with Neethi, my wife, and we struggled a little bit because we were both trying to figure out the controls and how to do stuff. And it's just hilarious because she was flying and like her like cart was like banging into walls and it was like exploding and I was like, oh my god, you killed it. But yeah, really fun. So both of those games, Super Motherload was my first PS4 game.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah, that I formally played on my own system, and both highly recommended.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else,
Man.
Nick?
I'm gonna start Killzone and Knack like tonight / through the holiday break
Something
or
about
Thanksgiving break.
Knack. I don't know what it is, but
I liked a lot what I played at our event, so I'm looking forward to playing the full
I'm
thing.
fascinated, and I think
Shane Bettenhausen has been raving about it.
yeah, it's interesting. Did he not refer to it as the Demon Souls of
Well,
Yeah.
he's also an idiot. So.
I played Knack last night with Neethi too.
Oh, cool.
That
Should I play the co-op with my girlfriend?
Yeah, well,
Would you recommend girlfriend co-op?
the co-op. Oh man, that controversial
I know.
term. The fun thing is that your co-op partner in that game is invulnerable.
Right.
They can die, but there's instant respawning. There's no penalty for that partner dying. So it is great if you have someone that's either new to platforming or you don't wanna they don't wanna like bring you down. They can only help.
Right.
Like they really can only help, and that's actually what I found is like I would like hang back his Knack, and Neethi would like run forward and just like lunge into enemies, and then get blown up, and then just come back.
Nice.
So it's cool. And as you guys were saying, it's surprisingly challenging.
it is a challenging game. You don't take a lot of hits, unless you build yourself up with a lot of objects.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool.
Also, Baby Knack
is cute.
Baby Knack, like the Knack that's not at all built up, but the small Knack is adorable.
Yeah,
oh my god, that big head!
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it.
Really cute.
Yeah.
I've been doing a little bit of Twitch streaming.
Oh, have you?
I think this is very, very interesting, and this is something that's built into PS4. You just log right in. It's about as easy as it gets. I mean, it's basically a big button.
So you've
push.
you've been streaming so people can watch you play?
Yeah.
Huh.
And here's what I'll tell you.
Are you using the camera too?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I just did it. So you haven't tried this personally?
I've watched some other people stream.
Okay, but you haven't streamed yourself.
No.
Here's what I'll tell you about streaming that I think is very interesting. And so this is
Take
like
your pants off.
You take the pants off.
Take the pants
first.
right off.
That's the first thing. You gotta stay cool. You gotta stay comfortable. No, the thing about streaming that caught me by surprise, I mean, we've done some sort of industrial strength live stream events here at PlayStation, but sitting down and doing it just on my own, watch me play a game, it takes you 5 seconds to do it. It actually gave me a really big kick because I started to go, I see these people start coming in. and it got up to like 60 or 70 on a couple of my streams, and I was like, man, I gotta perform. And so I'm trying to be extra. I was playing Battlefield, and I was. It gives you a rush, like it adds urgency. It turns it from an intimate,
a weird like reverse voyeurism.
Yeah, and it turns it into a performance, which is a very interesting thing. I think intellectually, this concept of Twitch streaming and having it as at the touch of a button on PS4, I think that's a very, very groundbreaking concept. Way more so than I ever would have thought.
See, I don't like the idea of what you just said. But I would like it, I think, playing something like a Nobi Boy style game.
Or Spelunky.
See, I was going to say either something really experimental and creative, so I could just be weird and I could watch that. Or maybe Spelunky. Speaking of Spelunky, use the segue right
here. Daily
Challenge patched in today. Nice surprise. We just dropped in on everyone. You can read the blog post by Derek. Also fixed the slowdown on Vita. There was a little bit of slowdown. There was some slowdown in the levels that had transparencies, like the fog and stuff. Just a little bit. It didn't really bother the game too much. But so yeah, adding Daily Challenge, an amazing feature now if you haven't played it. So basically you can go play Spelunky now. Usually when you play Spelunky, all the levels are randomly generated. So now each day has its own specific level, the same level seed, and it's the same for everybody. So when you go and play that level, you get one shot. If you die, you're done. That's your run for the day. And there's leaderboards specific to each day. So every single day you can basically compete against your friends all on the same level.
That's amazing.
It's a really cool feature.
Brilliant idea.
And this
today, and that idea actually came from Doug Wilson of Sports Friends and Zach Gage, another awesome indie designer. So he credits them as well for that.
An example would be the inaugural challenge is you have 99 bombs.
What?
Wasn't that what the...
No, you're not getting it.
Is that something different?
No. It's exactly like a normal Spelunky run.
Yeah.
It's a straight up Spelunky run. There's no unique challenge to it.
Oh, it's just a special level.
It's just a special level. Well, it's not even a special... It's a random level, but it's the same random level for everybody.
Okay.
That's how it works.
I thought, what was the 99 bomb thing about? I saw people tweeting about that.
I don't know. But there is also, I should say, you should go watch... just Google it. Spelunky Solo Eggplant Run.
Oh yeah,
we were talking about this last time, right?
We might have referenced it. Yeah, I just watched it though. I didn't understand it, but basically there's something you can read into it. There's actually I think Eurogamer wrote an actual full news report about this eggplant run. It was basically something that was thought impossible to do previously in Spelunky, and someone managed to do it. And it was this amazing, one-time thing. I don't know if anyone will ever do it again, and he captured it, and it's incredible. It's an hour and a half long video. It was an hour and a half long run, but it's incredible. So, Spelunky Eggplant Run. So anyway, Daily Challenge out now on Vita and PS3. You just need to update.
Well, there you go. Thanks for setting
very exciting times. The best game
of the generation.
For me of the generation, getting better.
Very nice. And soon we'll be hearing from Shuhei Yoshida and Scott Rohde's Games of the Generation. Let's
last one. Tearaway.
Oh yeah, let's
real quick. I finished it last night. Great game. Ending is amazing. I'm not going to say too much, but it's a game that for me is really defined by its ending and the whole sort of last.
That's interesting because they positioned Media Molecule talked about Tearaway and they said you're delivering a message, and I was always really curious where it was going to go.
Yeah, the plot's sort of interesting in that sense. It's sort of vague, but purposefully so, and the narrators in the game or the sort of entities giving you this quest keep talking about this message and what you're doing and keep sort of changing your objective. But it really wraps up in a super interesting, great way. Just an incredibly charming world, looks stunning, the papercraft angle. So the photo mode in the game too, which I didn't realize was such a big part of it. You get a camera, and at any time you can hop into first person and take pictures. And you get tons of filters, Instagram style, and different lenses to zoom in or fast motion lens. And it's actually great. It's such a beautiful world, and you want to frame these nice shots, and there's some amazing creatures to see. So you're taking all these pictures. You can take selfies, a selfie button. Actually, called a selfie button.
It is?
Yep.
Oh,
and this ties into some of the gameplay mechanics where there's certain things you have to snap pictures of, and some of the trophies in different levels. For me, it's the best photo mode I've ever seen in a game. And you can actually move in it, so you can essentially play the game in first person to some extent. Walk around the level in first person and even jump. And the touch stuff is really cool. And
what was your favorite interaction? That was what I wanted to ask you. Because they had some really interesting...
There's some really great, towards the end of the game, some really great tilt stuff that I won't say anything else about, but done really well. It's just an incredibly charming game.
Is it hub-based, or is it
linear.
You just go from one stage to the
structurally, it's sort of more traditional than I thought, traditional platformer, but just the art direction and some of the ways it uses the Vita features, and just sort of the stuff you're doing, and just an amazing game.
Is there room to go back and play it again?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go.
Okay.
100% of the first 4 worlds, and I'm going to go do the rest.
Awesome.
There's 3 sets of objectives you have in each, or 5 sets actually in each level.
They let you replay things?
Yep, you can hop back in at any time and replay and collect the stuff
I love stuff like
didn't
that.
collect. Yeah. And you also take pictures of things that unlock on. I actually haven't gone yet. There's a website, I believe it's like tearaway.me, that you can go and unlocks the real papercraft for you to create.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's so many just cool little touches about
Media
it.
Molecule, man, you just never count those guys out. They always have something great.
And the way it brings the whole game's sort of about you. You call the you as the player in the game, and you in the world, and brings in the real world in an amazing way too, and uses the camera in great ways that I haven't seen or wouldn't have even thought about. But just a really great, super thoughtful game. A lot of game there as well.
Great soundtrack.
Amazing soundtrack, yeah. And
no surprises.
You'd heard that.
Yeah. No surprises.
Yeah.
I'm totally sold.
It's so good. There's one part where there's, I don't want to spoil it, but there's like basically a record you can scratch that's playing the soundtrack, and it's so fun, and that song got so stuck in my head.
And just the reviews, I mean, I've been seeing 9s and 9.5s. I'm really surprised.
Super deserved.
Not that I doubted it in any way, but just it's a resounding, very clear, just raves. So that one vaulted to the top of my list.
I just want to get that out the way.
Yes.
Let's talk to Scott Rohde.
Let's talk to Scott Rohde. He's the Senior Vice President of PlayStation's Worldwide Studios in America here, and he's a longtime fan of PlayStation Blogcast. You've heard him many times. He is now going to talk to us.
Regale us.
Okay, we are joined by Senior Vice President of Worldwide Studios America, Mr. Scott Rohde, friend of the Blogcast.
Hello, hello.
We are here in New York. This week is the big launch, of course, of PS4.
We made it.
Yeah, we're here. A bunch of media are here. They're checking out all the games, hearing a lot of good stuff. But we are here to talk about something just a little bit different. We're not the conclusion of the PS3 generation. I think that's not fair to say, but
the passing of the torch. So
yes, and I think it's a time when a lot of people are looking back over some of their favorites of the generation. And if you've been listening to the show, you've been hearing us kind of sharing ours as well. As difficult as it is,
I'm just happy to be recording with Mr. Rohde for the first time in 98 episodes.
We are ships passing in the night. Let me tell you right now, I'm just going to set this up. I am less nervous to stand on stage at E3 in front of 10,000 people and announce new games. This is such a personal thing. I can talk games all day long, but when you're talking your top 10 list, it's just so personal. It's unbelievable.
I found so you found it did you find it difficult at all? 'Cause I found it really tough.
I found it next to impossible. Okay. Literally, I have pages of notes that I'm trying to consolidate into this. Took this crazy seriously. Yeah.
Well, Sid and I both had a lot of runner-ups, so I think that's fair game if you want to get into that territory.
You're allowed one runner-up.
I think you had none, right?
I think I had like 3 honorable mentions.
Yeah, Ryan
had none.
Now, did you review any of this with Shuhei as well?
Not at all. Literally did not talk to him about this at all. I on purpose. Like wanted this to be just kind of my personal list without any influences.
Yeah, and I think that works well that way because you start to go, oh yeah, that one, and that one should make the list. I mean, I chose Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, which a lot of people were surprised by, but that had a huge personal impact on me. I absolutely adored that game, and that made the list for me. So
I thought it was so interesting that you chose that over Far Cry 3.
Yeah, well, also a great game, but there was just something about Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. But enough about my favorites.
Let's see if any themes emerge too. I like.
Yeah. You'll see a distinct theme with me. I actually went to Metacritic and literally reviewed every single game from this generation to make sure I didn't leave anything out.
Interesting.
Surprisingly, most of them are more on the current side, right? The ones that end up on my list. But it was again, this was agonizing. There's no other word. So I'm just going to jump right in. Yeah, please feel free to dive in and comment and heckle whatever you want to do because there will be plenty. So
one thing before we kick off here, I would say if you could maybe explain a little bit of your criteria, like your personal criteria.
Trust me, that's going to happen.
Okay.
There's like a 10-minute disclaimer before we start.
Oh, boy.
Okay. And will you be building up to sort of, I mean, it doesn't need to be ranked, but tradition has dictated we've had sort of a number one. Like, for me, I think everyone's done sort of a number one.
Yeah, you got to at least pick a top one.
He sounds very prepared.
He's got it all figured out.
This is reverse order with disclaimer at the front, honorable mentions at the back. It's all there.
It's like a screenplay.
He's more prepared than anyone.
I feel like running out of the room and hiding right now. This is so personal to me.
Storyboards.
This is a safe
one of
place.
which is a picture of you running out of the room.
All right. Thank God this isn't on camera because you'll see me. You'll see my nerves because this means so much to me. So anyways, opening thoughts. So again, I took this very, very seriously, and I really agonized over the placement of each game. That final top 10 list, it must have swapped a dozen times at least. It was really agonizing. And I considered all kinds of games. I'm one of the few people who will consider sports games very heavily on this top 10 list. And I considered all these games before kind of reluctantly agreeing with myself, if I can say that, right? That's really how it ended up. So, and keep in mind, this is a list of my favorites. This has nothing to do with commercial success or anything in the press. This is just my personal tendencies, my personal favorites. And the other thing you guys have to note, I am not a shooter guy. Right, so this whole generation was so defined by shooters, and even games like BioShock Infinite, played it start to finish. Spoiler, it's not going to be on my list because I'm just not a shooter guy. I'm not a first-person guy in general. Love third-person games.
I think the only first-person game on my list is Mirror's Edge, so I'm there with you.
And that's a very cool game, but again, first-person is really it's a tough one for me.
Fascinating insight here.
It really is. I mean, and you can see like part of the strength of what first party does with PlayStation. So many great third-person action-adventure games, and I'm sure that influences me, but well before I was at Sony, this was always a genre that I loved. I also struggled quite a bit with kind of the true goal behind this list. Is this a list of my favorite experiences on PS3 or is this a list of games that I'd take with me if I was stranded on a desert island? Those are very different lists, because there's some games, The Last of Us is one of them, where I think you've said it before, Sid, you almost don't want to play it more than once because it has a perfect way of telling a story, right? And you might not want to play it again. So, but then there are sports games and more systemic games like Spelunky or things like that where you might want it on a desert island because you can play it forever. Yep. So I really struggled with that as well, and you'll see me sort of fighting with myself on that in this list.
I can't imagine how fast I'd go insane if I had Splunky on a desert island. I would just I'd think I was like fighting Olmec, and it would be awful.
It's so funny. And I also, again, the disclaimer continues, I did not include cross-platform games that I played exclusively on Vita. That's just a way for me to talk about more games before I start, basically. So if I did, Guacamelee, Sound Shapes definitely would have made this list. I put crazy hours into both of those games. In fact, Shu was with me when I finally beat Guacamelee.
Oh, yeah?
Right? We were on a plane headed to visit Gorilla. I probably kind of yelled a little bit out loud when I finally beat Clucka. Have you finished that game
no,
yet, by the way?
yet. I'm
if
sorry.
You could make a slap sound effect, I would do it right now. There it is. But you got to do it. Such a great game. And also Persona 4 Golden, which isn't really a cross-platform game, but it kind of is.
Persona 4 Golden is exclusive to PlayStation Vita.
Yes, but Persona 4, it's confusing, but that game stole a lot of hours from my life. So, disclaimer's complete. Just gave me an excuse to talk about all these games.
All right. Let's get to the good stuff.
Good stuff. Number 10 is Heavy Rain.
Oh,
okay.
It was ridiculously hard for me to decide which game cleared that bubble and made number 10. There's a whole chunk of games that are right below this.
You've got a bunch tied for number 11. Yeah.
Seriously, there's like 10 games tied for number 11. But at the end of the day, I couldn't imagine a personal top 10 that didn't have Heavy Rain on it for me. It's not the fastest moving game in the world, but it was so incredibly innovative for its time. There was nothing like it. I'd never played anything like it. And the story, for me, is something that every parent can relate to, kidnapped child. And it's almost primal. It's just, your kid is gone. You're going to do whatever you have to do to get there. I thought that was a fantastic game.
It's also a game that I'm surprised a lot of other people didn't really try to emulate in my mind, because it was, it sort of catered, whether purposeful or not, a lot to sort of the CSI crowd. I mean, everybody watches crime shows, and I could see a lot of people getting into it for that reason. And I thought there would be sort of a bunch of other, not clones, but people taking inspiration of this sort of, modern day story driven. And not a lot of people did that. And it's still really unique. I mean, Beyond
totally
is
true.
one of the closest things since, and there was a
same developer. I mean, totally true.
4-year gap.
It's tough though. I mean, that type of game is incredibly tough, and it's a really good segue, because the next game on my list has some similarities. It's The Walking Dead.
Nice.
And
you're sounding a lot like me right now. Both of those are on my list.
And I mean, I have to say, I am not a diehard fan of the TV show. I've only watched a couple episodes here and there. It's sort of on my list of things to do that hasn't been checked, kind of like Sid playing Guacamelee. But man, that game was so smart. It was so smart that they gave it its own set of characters, and it was its own world, kind of set in the Walking Dead theme. This game's all about character development. There's almost no action in the entire game, and I loved it to death.
Have you played Wolf Among Us yet?
I was just going to ask that.
Is only chapter 1 out? Yeah, I played it, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
I couldn't wait, because
I'm loving the Wolf Among Us.
It's very cool. doesn't have the same effect as this because it's so surreal in the most grand of ways. That game is surreal.
I'm actually really liking that about it. The fact that it's so surreal.
But I feel like it's harder to sort of hit you on the more personal level because even The Walking Dead as zombies, it's not about the zombies.
Right.
You know, it's about. But I always forget the line. They're like on the back of every graphic novel. It's like in a world where blah blah blah. You know that. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
all the zombies from the earth.
But the humans are the ones you need to worry about. Yeah.
But I would love to see more games like this, and so I was glad to see The Wolf Among Us come. But this industry needs a ton more games like this because I think they're absolutely brilliant. So there's number 9 for you. Number 8 is going to be a bit of a shocker because it's a little far down my list for most people, and that is Journey.
Ooh. Interesting.
Now, this is an absolutely stunning game.
Yes.
I love it to death. I've played it multiple times. I've watched people play it. I've watched my kids play it. My wife has watched us play it. Fantastic game. It's one of the few where anyone can watch and just kind of get wrapped up in it. And I'm always amazed that a game with no dialogue and no facial expressions can just grab you as much as this game does. I mean, it means something different to everybody, and that's what makes it so incredibly special. But it only cracked number 8 on my list.
I'm beyond fascinated.
I've got to know what the rest of the list is.
Yeah.
All right, number 7, and this is very surprising to me, but I had to be totally honest with myself and put it here. Number 7 is Tomb Raider.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Now, I was very skeptical of this game. I enjoyed the original series, but I never really got wrapped up in any particular one release to just say, oh, I can't wait to get home and finish this. I just kind of liked them, didn't love them.
They sort of blur together a bit.
And,
like,
they're
good,
very innovative, too. Like, there was nothing else like that when they came out. I remember getting it, playing it, and going, this completely blew my mind, the first one. I got it, like, right when it came out because I heard the buzz. And it had a huge impact on the entire industry. I mean, camera controls, very rudimentary at the time, but it was really kind of creating...
Camera control when you were, like, putting Laura in the corner and trying to...
He would never do something like that. But, the reinvention of Lara was just, it was really, really well done. It caught me by surprise.
I actually haven't played this game still.
Really?
Yeah.
It's good.
It's really good. I mean, I expected, totally honest, to pop it in, play it for an hour, and it would just end up on my stacks of games that I might get back to someday. Yeah, right? Like Guacamelee for Sid. It's going to be a thing. But,
Guacamelee is the new Journey.
But, the kind of the semi-open world feel of the game was such a welcome addition. And I know that the other games had that to a degree, but I don't know. I guess I just didn't expect it here. I thought it was going to be just a linear drive, right? But just a great game. Not a spoiler, I promise, right? But kind of the so-so ending in my book kind of prevented this game from climbing even higher on this list.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Number 6.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were, like, introducing the next game, and I was like, what game is this going to be with? And I see Tomb Raider. I got it.
Number 6, God of War 3.
Nice.
This game absolutely blew my mind in so many ways. That team is so talented there at Santa Monica, and the whole idea for me of engaging in a battle with hundreds of minions only to find out that you're actually on a giant moving titan while you're having this battle, that was no easy feat to pull that off from a technical perspective. And that game just blew my mind.
Yeah,
it just blew my mind.
The intro is incredible. When you drop down into hell, it's incredible. It's in a whole different way. And then later there's the other Titan fight where you tear off the fingernail.
Oh, the fingernail.
Oh, and there's brutal. Who's the sort of blacksmith underground.
Hephaestus or whatever.
Maybe,
Hephaestus,
that. There's just so many memorable characters and moments.
As I was writing this list, it made me think that we should someday do a top 10 moments list.
That's a good one.
Because that fingernail, that got me. That was a good one.
No, I love God of War 3, and that was a key release this generation, no question. And I'll tell you, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better-looking game, even years later.
Absolutely true.
Now, but I will admit, and you probably, if you've listened to the show before, my favorite is still probably God of War 2. It's a tough call for me between those two.
That wasn't this generation, though.
That's right. Yeah, it doesn't count. But God of War 2 was
It did come out during this generation.
It did.
That
is a good call.
I don't think that.
A technicality.
I wouldn't the rules. Yeah.
Anyway, please continue.
But absolutely is a gorgeous game, and I agree. And that's why it's so high on my list. Is that games that came out 5 years later don't necessarily look
I think
as
that's
good.
still the first thing that you put on your PS3 if somebody comes over who doesn't play games and you want to see something cool.
Especially because the first 45 minutes are just nonstop in your face.
Exactly.
First you show them Flower, and you're like, here's what games can be. You don't realize. And then you go back, you're like, okay, now you've seen that.
You showed the Flower.
Speaking of Flower, I had that running on my PS4 dev kit in my office. It sounded like I was in a spa, actually. But seriously, just kind of staring at it and not really doing much work for the better part of a half an hour, it looks absolutely gorgeous on this.
It's almost like a different game on PS4.
It is in some way.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. All right, number 5, and this is just not going to be on anyone's list because sports games never make it on anyone's list.
I've been waiting for this
except
one.
for me.
Oh, what's the sports game?
Big surprise for those of you who know me. It's MLB The Show, right?
Nice.
It's there's no way I could have a list.
There is just the most recent
MLB
one?
13 is the one.
Okay.
It absolutely has to be 13 in my book. It's a good because you were talking about. It was your list or your list. Someone had NBA 2K11 on their list. I can't remember who
was
it
that
was.
you?
No.
Someone
probably
talked about it
though,
during their list, and it is there's something specific about that particular one because it was the Jordan game.
Oh, yeah.
But this one, the reason I have MLB 13 is because they made a major leap in accuracy of physics from 12 to 13. And the game's always been great, but this one just took another giant step. And despite the fact that this is only number 5 on my list, this is absolutely number 1 on my desert island list, right?
Nice.
Because this is a game I could play forever. I have this. This is where you're in my notes here, Mr. Sutner. It literally says I could be stranded on an island with a solar power generator, a PS3, copy of MLB The Show, a pile of coconuts. I'd be growing a Nick Sutner beard and playing this game forever, right? And it's totally true.
And I'm not a sports fan, but I hear again and again. I mean, this is arguably the most respected series in sports. I mean, Madden and all these games, these are all great, and NBA 2K is highly respected. But I don't hear the same level of fanaticism from almost like it's like the GT5 guys or the Gran Turismo guys. People buy PS3s just to play MLB The Show.
I mean,
Speaking
it's a role-playing game.
Yeah.
It's what it is, and it's just really well done.
Speaking of jumps between games in a series, how about those screenshots from MLB 14?
Like that hair technology.
Yeah.
No,
That
we're really
looks
excited
crazy.
about where that's going to go. And I just want to. I'll just say it now. There's no other sports games on my list. I'm going to spoil that, but. Man, there were some good ones this generation. I love the NBA 2K series, and I love the FIFA series. Madden had some work to do. I'll just be totally honest. Like that, it lost me a bit this generation. It's still a great game, but it could be better. But those 3, MLB, NBA, and FIFA, man, those are really, really good games.
FIFA really came into its own this generation.
Absolutely.
I want to see someone do for other sports what, to me, I mean, I'm not a big sports fan besides basketball, but do what Fight Night did for boxing games.
Yeah.
Really just take sort of a different perspective, completely different control scheme. Like, I thought Fight Night was gonna. I mean, I think I've talked about it on the show before, but like change fighting games. Like, I want Fight Night with a fantasy skin with like weird characters.
Yeah, with like monsters or something.
But like the controls were brilliant, and I'd like to see or go back. I know sort of the early 2000s, some stuff on like Dreamcast, like the football, tried like first person football, things like that, and I think maybe even one of the basketball games.
And I'll tell you,
I think it can work. Like keep
So it's funny that you say this because it is my background. I mean, for probably the first 10 years of my career, starting at Sega, working some with EA as well, it was all about sports. That's when Shuhei hired me to run San Diego studio, it was strictly a sports studio.
Right. Okay.
And then and things have changed, and now doing all sorts of other stuff for Sony in America. But it is a very difficult thing to make a drastic change in a sports game.
Of course,
you have a year.
Right.
We always talk about this. You finish a game, you take a couple weeks off, you come back, and alpha's in 4 months.
Right.
It just never stops.
I mean, any
for
game
these
that's on
guys.
a yearly cycle, it's hard to make big changes.
Really is. So, but I hear you. I mean, everyone wishes for this, including all the guys on the teams.
Right.
Hey, why can't we try this? There's just so much risk.
That's why I wish like more indies would make sports games because they can take the risk. I mean, there's stuff like Sports Friends, which are a little more inspired by sports, but why not just make an unlicensed indie sports game? Could be great.
And let me just real quick tangent. Fight Night. Now I'm mad because Fight Night 3, particularly out of all those games, I was obsessed with that. That turned
It's a good
into
game.
I've damn near lost friendships over Fight Night Run 3. Some friends of mine back in Pennsylvania, every time we'd go home, we played it on the PS2, and we'd have these Ali versus Joe Frazier. I was Joe Frazier, and man, I've never seen such long faces after people losing. It was, I mean, it was serious rivalry. Now I'm frustrated. That maybe should have made the cut for me, but anyway.
All right, I'm going to tangent off your tangent because that's what I do. So back in my Sega days, one of the first games that I produced from start to finish, this is back in 1992-ish, 1993, was a game called Greatest Heavyweights on the Sega Genesis. And Joe Frazier was one of the boxers, right? And Ali was as well. Had the unbelievable opportunity to meet Joe Frazier.
Yeah.
So he comes in, and there was this goofy peripheral that Sega was working on in that day called the Activator.
I remember this. Yes,
I wanted one
gosh.
so
Yeah,
bad.
me too.
And I hope you didn't get it for Christmas. But so basically what this thing is, it's an octagon on the floor, and all it is just a binary digital on-off for the eight digital controls that are on the Genesis control pad.
It's like those things you bury in your yard to shock your dog when they're
It's like
basically is that. That's really what the technology
the
is.
dog zapping tuck.
But the point is, this thing was intentionally or unintentionally sold as your own kind of mocap device for your house. It's what people thought it was, because you're standing in this octagon, and we had these actors in there to pull off these amazing moves. So here's the scenario. Joe Frazier comes into the office, and some brilliant mind said, put him in the activator, and I'm just cringing.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, the way the activator really works, you kind of had to like hold your left foot out to make your character move forward and punch over here. And it was just ridiculous, right? So Joe Frazier, an aging Joe Frazier, was in there trying to do everything, and his guy's walking backwards and punching in the air. It was so unbelievable. Then it gets better. So my boss at the time, he was standing in the room, and Joe Frazier said, okay, this thing doesn't work, right? I want to spar with you.
Oh,
right?
What?
And we're saying, what in the world? My boss said, no. And he insisted. He would not leave this cramped small office until he sparred with my boss. And so he told my boss, hit me right in the head. So my, little ginger hit, right? He's not going to do it, of course. And then Joe Frazier said, no, hit me. Open palm, hit me. And my boss said, okay, took a full swing, and this 60-year-old man blocked it like a cat and took a full swing towards my boss in the gut and stopped 1 inch before his gut.
What?
And we all just stood there and said, okay, that was an amazing experience. Right? It was unbelievable. I love that
You're
story.
like, one day I'm going to tell the story in a podcast.
Before pods or casts were invented. All right. Back to the list. That was a long tangent.
That was a really
stories.
good tangent.
That was one of my 10 favorite stories of the generation.
Top 10 best tangents.
All right, number 4, Uncharted 2.
Nice. Yeah.
And this is just an absolutely brilliant game. And this is where my list started to get really freaking hard to tabulate here. So this game was such a major step for Naughty Dog in terms of character development. I think this was one of the first times where I really looked into the eyes of a video game character and tried to see that emotion and feel that emotion. And they just pulled it off so well. So many great set pieces in this game. This is one of those games where I can remember actually kind of being upset when I would finish a certain section because I didn't get to play it again. It was so enjoyable and so fun. Didn't mind dying. Wanted to play it again and again. Just absolutely fantastic game, start to finish.
And again, still one of the best looking games on the system.
It
No
is.
question.
It
Looks
is.
fantastic. I remember that E3 moment when the helicopter battle and the building collapsing, and I remember the audience going crazy,
Going absolutely nuts.
I've never
Yeah.
seen anything like that except for PS4.
Naughty Dog, they've been at like most of the top of the list we've been reading from both listeners and us, but also E3 demos, they always knock it out of the park. All like the Last of Us demo too was
Absolutely.
How
But
tough was that?
that you're right. That might be my favorite E3 demo of all time, because when that floor started to crumble and the whole place was just going nuts.
Yeah.
Only eclipsed by Jack announcing that you could actually own your games on the PS4. So number 3 on my list is Uncharted 3.
Oh.
And
Uncharted 3 higher than Uncharted 2.
I am that rare
Controversial.
soul that likes this game better than Uncharted 2. And it's a razor thin margin, let me tell you. But I like the villain better. I like the story better. I love seeing some resolution with all the cross-title story threads, kind of understanding how everything resolves. And I absolutely loved seeing Drake as a young kid. Love the on-foot chase through the city and across the rooftops. Do you know how hard it is to make that fun?
That was and not only fun, but like that. Those were the most impressive parts in many games to me. Of that, those sort of like scripted portions where they're just directing you very like smartly and carefully to the right spots, and you never make a wrong turn. You feel like you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to try this way, and it turns out to be, it's always the right way.
Yeah,
but
you felt like it was always your choice. Yeah. It was that's probably my favorite part in that whole game is that chase. Man, I love the battle in the little bay with the ship where you could kind of do stealth and go underwater.
That's a great moment.
Oh,
that was like
love that.
Yeah, I couldn't stand that part. That
was hard. It was hard.
Well, I couldn't. That was actually there was one thing for me that the parts of the game for me that didn't work as well were the parts where you're alone. Because for me, Uncharted is so much about like camaraderie and friendship and love, and that's sort of the themes of the game to me. And when you're alone, like not only for me. Does it hurt from a story perspective, but like when you become the fire, the point of fire for all the bad guys, you don't have people to like take your. So I don't know. That was that part.
You don't have decoys.
Yeah, maybe I'm just terrible at the game.
No, I get it. I mean, this is what's great about video games. Everyone has their own personal opinions and favorites, but that particular section was so fun to me. I always play Naughty Dog games the first time through on hard, right? Because you kind of know how they do their basic trophy structure. And so I died quite a few times in that section, and I was never upset. It was just so much fun to try different things in there.
That's true. I try different stuff.
I loved the action on the sinking cruise ship.
Oh, yes.
The opening bar fight, so
very
unique.
Good.
So it just was very Uncharted, right?
It was.
I love that.
I also like the sequences where you're in the tombs and the spiders are coming at you and you have the torch. I thought that was really well done and extremely tense. It was
very,
great.
very cool. I mean, I just love that game to death. And so I'm going to say this too. I almost cheated and put all 3 Uncharted games as a single entry, but that would have been incredibly chicken.
It's your list. You can do what you want. I'm only defending it because I did something similar.
I scolded myself and would not allow myself to do that. It would have been incredibly chicken. In fact, I talked to Brian Fleming from Sucker Punch about this about a week ago during the time when I was agonizing about this list, and he just about disowned me. He was like, you cannot ever do that. It's not fair. All right, down to the top 2.
Where's this going? Where's this going?
Boy, I flipped these 2 a million times. It was unbelievable. So number 2 for me is Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, fascinating.
And that quick?
So it really, right? But I have put a ton of hours in this game. I've completed the story mode and played a ton of extra, dabbled in the online, but I just love the single player mode in this game. I have finished all of the Grand Theft Autos, even the old school ones before Grand Theft Auto 3.
1 and 2, the top down ones.
Exactly. Except for Grand Theft Auto 4. Which is not on my list. I did not care for that game. I did not like the driving physics in that game, and it totally wrecked it for me. And
it was Roman calling you all the time, wasn't it?
It actually bugged
Nico,
me.
you want to go bowling?
And you couldn't skip the cutscenes in that game. It drove me nuts, right? So that, I know it's a fantastic game. It's one of the greatest of all time, but it's nowhere near my top 10 list. But Grand Theft Auto 5, sheer size, absolutely mind-boggling. I want to make this part very clear too. This is fascinating to me about my own list. This slot was achieved almost solely due to exceptional gameplay and not through story or character development.
Really? Huh.
I honestly don't care much about the story or characters in this game at all. They're just kind of disposable parodies of American stereotypes to me. And they don't do anything to me. They don't move me in any way. I don't care about them. They're just pawns. They're tokens in the game. But I'm saying that because despite that, this game almost made the top of my list.
Fascinating.
Because it just is so incredibly fun.
And it's gorgeous.
I think that's how I felt putting Splunky at the top of my list, is that it's, even though most games have value for sort of their emotional resonance or their storytelling or whatever, like Splunky is just
like
raw
zero
mechanics
story,
and like playing math, but it's done so well.
But that's just honesty on your list, right?
Yeah.
And man, did I struggle with this one. I really did. It was so close to being number 1. But The Last of Us is number 1 on my list because I have never been more moved by a game. And Sid saw me a couple times, leading up to the release of this game, and I never talked about the mechanics in the game at all. I always talked about the story and how it has never. You see me kind of tearing up a little bit. It has never been has never been done better.
Yes.
It just hasn't been. Like, I sat at the end of this game, and you put down the controller, and you just kind of, you a big
those credits
sigh
roll,
of
and
relief.
you exhale.
That's right,
Yeah.
and you're kind of glad the credits go on forever because you need some time.
I sat there and watched the whole credits. I never do that.
Yeah,
I never do that.
Yeah.
It's
right?
a lot to let sink in.
Yeah.
It really is, and it was
Not just the ending, but like the
enormity
entirety. Yeah,
of
the
what you've
fact that
experienced.
oh my god, they pulled that off. They did that.
Yeah.
I mean, this game, the performances were so real and so believable. I have a lot to say about this game. I mean, again, GTA 5 might have been more fun to play, but the fact this game dragged all kinds of emotions out of me, it absolutely has to be on top of my list.
Well, and it's great because I feel like most people wouldn't. Yes, I'm like, is Last of Us fun? Not really. It's not.
I mean,
that's
I'm
not.
not sure I would call it fun,
Right,
but
that's not the appeal.
greatest game of this generation.
Yeah.
And it's funny that, but it is fun.
It's compelling. It's not fun like
It's fun like
Spelunky's
Breaking
fun.
Bad.
It's not
is
ha-ha
fun.
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
ha-ha
So
in this
it's-
game,
yeah, not
right?
fun.
You're so glued to the character. You really feel like Joel. You really get in his head,
That's
and
right.
that was something that
Yeah.
was interesting, especially right at the end. No spoilers, but at the final moments when you're playing as him, you're really inside his head, and you sympathize with where he's coming from, even though intellectually you know this is not the way to go here. This is not the right thing to do,
Yeah.
but you're with him 100%.
But
I don't
this-
think I've ever been behind a character more.
See, even now, I'm disagreeing with you. Though,
Yeah.
This is why it's extra interesting. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
But that's what makes this a
Yeah.
great
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
We can argue about this until we're all old and gray,
Yeah.
right? Because it's just that compelling of a story. I have to always tell this story when I talk about The Last of Us. My wife, not a video game fan. They actually kind of make her sick. Just the movement, she can't handle it. And she hates anything resembling a horror movie. Anything, right? But she was totally engrossed, bless her heart, as I spent 2 hours telling her the story of The Last of Us.
Wow.
So I had finished it, kind of finished it during development, piecemeal, right? And then played it from start to finish. And then that day, I had to sit my wife down for 2 hours. Again, 2 hours. Tell her the entire
You don't want to wait till
story.
that 3-hour YouTube cut of all the story. Let's work for you.
It was just so personal. I had to explain it because I had to explain to her why horror movies are okay and why they just set up this great environment for drama and tension. And what happened, the result of this, is that myself and my two boys, we sort of conned her into going to see World War Z, which kind of came out around the same time. And to get my wife to a theater to see anything resembling a horror flick, not going to happen. She liked it more than all of us combined.
Really?
Because she understood. When she came out of the theater, she was talking about The Last of Us the whole time. I see why you liked that game so much, because now I can relate. I saw this movie. It was amazing. It was kind of an amazing experience to me how it made a whole genre of movies a little more acceptable to someone in my family that never had a game do that before.
No.
It's amazing. So, I got to tuck my honorable mention here a little bit.
You're
So-
allowed 5.
Well, I'm going to say them really fast. I don't care if I can only have 5. Right? So, the one that's just right on the bubble is Red Dead Redemption.
Ooh,
It's
yeah.
right on
Yeah.
the bubble. I'm just not that much of a Western guy, but it's right there. I love the what's the short, the one that you like, the Call of
Juarez.
That game's really fun
Yeah.
too, but it's like an arcade game to me. It's really fun.
Right now, Call of Juarez Gunslinger is on PlayStation Plus for $3.75.
Oh,
Wow.
that's
Dirt
crazy,
cheap.
crazy value. That game is really fun. Little Big Planet, man, I agonize not having that on my list.
Yep.
Just because of what it did for everybody, right? And Mod Nation Racers for the same reason. Loved Max Payne 3, loved Infamous 2, loved Heavenly Sword and Enslaved. Those guys are amazing. I actually really liked the redo of
I did
Devil,
too.
Devil
Yeah,
May
I did
Cry.
too.
That was
Yeah.
on Ryan's list.
That was on
Yeah.
Ryan's.
He's-
Ryan is
he's
air
silent
punching
videos.
over
Yeah.
here right now.
For Devil May Cry?
Yeah.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
I
It's
think-
almost like
did
you
all
started
of us finish
punching
that?
before I said it. You knew what I was going to say. It's unbelievable. And NBA 2K11, and I had to have one really great racer on here, and the original Grid that came out really early in the cycle was so incredibly fun.
Yeah.
White Knuckles Racing. But, man, I could go on and on about this
What a
list.
great
but,
list.
Yeah, that was
So
a really
much
good
fun.
list. Do you
Some
want to
surprises.
just recount your top 10 real quick for
Sure.
easy
I
listability
will.
format?
And again,
Dustin likes
thank
the
you guys
recount.
for giving me
We've
the
all done it,
opportunity
so.
to do this. Again, agonized over this. So it goes number 10, Heavy Rain. Number 9, The Walking Dead. Number 8, Journey. Number 7, Tomb Raider. 6, God of War 3. 5, MLB 13 The Show. 4, Uncharted 2. 3, Uncharted 3. 2, Grand Theft Auto 5. And the king of the generation, The Last of Us.
You
That
like
is,
your character action.
That is a hell
And
of a list.
all of my honorable mentions, so many of them are third-person action games. Absolutely love them.
We had some definite parallels, I think, in our choices there, and for similar reasons. But that's a great list. What a great list! This makes me feel like we should do more with this because this has been a lot of fun hearing all these different people give their list. So maybe we do the game of the year and we bring it into this format as well. Maybe it's 5 top games of the year or something.
We could also have, if we want to ask people that are harder to get in the studio, we can have them just record their own segment and send it in.
That's a great idea.
We're talking show planning on the show.
You know what?
Very fascinating.
Again, so much
No
fun.
promises.
Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
It was great. Love hanging out with you guys.
Well,
and,
thank you so much for making the time and coming to chat with us,
Yep,
and
it was awesome.
I'm sure our listeners all really appreciate it too.
Awesome. Thanks
Cool.
again. All right, good stuff.
Cool. Thank you, Scott. That was an awesome list.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And we will do Shuhei in a little bit.
Let's get some listener letters.
Yeah.
You can email us at blogcast@PlayStation.
Share this paper right
God.
off. That probably sounded
That hurt.
horrible.
That sounded horrible.
Sorry. You can listen live.
Blogcast@PlayStation.Sony.com. And this one's from Kevin Bradley. Kevin says, I was just wondering if you were willing to give out your PSN IDs, either on the show or on Twitter. I'd love that, and I bet there's a lot of other people that would too. Well, mine's Shumanji, SHUMANJI.
Sid is like the biggest Jumanji fan that we know. So
I've never seen Jumanji.
it like defined your childhood. Both the board game and the movie.
I've never seen
You
it.
own it on Blu-ray. Your apartment's decorated like
have
it.
you never seen it?
No.
No.
Wait, that's your PSN.
Have you seen Zathura, the sequel?
No.
What? There's a sequel?
Yeah, it was the one John Favreau like floating house in space.
John Favreau?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Anyway,
That sounds kind of cool, though. I think I like that idea better.
you should see Jumanji.
I don't need like,
Robin Williams at his hairiest.
as Harry.
Yeah. And you know that means Harry.
Oh,
too.
man.
Anyway, Shumanji. Yeah, mine is rock solid audio.
What is that all about?
It's a long story. Which I mean, I figure. I mean, I don't know how to say it without like a jerk. Like I only am friends with real life friends on like PSN.
Interesting.
But I think given the streaming situation, I think it's totally fine.
And
for
now
us to
you
give it
have
out. People
2,000.
can check it out.
2,000 friends.
That's true.
Yeah.
But see, I like the real name thing. Actually, I think if I only know someone's real name, that's when I friend them. Yeah.
I like that real name
the real
system,
name
by the
thing
way.
is nice,
Yeah.
Yes, if you ever meet me in real life, listeners, then I will divulge my
Oh,
my
you're keeping it a
PSN
secret.
ID.
What's Justin's? Can we tell?
I actually don't know.
It's like J00S.
Something.
J00ZTN possibly.
Let's listen.
Justin?
Let's listen to him next, so you can see if
Yeah.
he, or after Thanksgiving rather. Would you like to
And
take
Twitter.
it?
Oh, Twitter IDs. Mine's N Sutner.
Yeah,
and
mine's
your-
Sid Schumann.
Sid Schumann,
Pretty
yeah.
straightforward.
What are you on Twitter, Ryan?
What's that?
What's your Twitter name?
Twitter, Pwam Cider. PWAM Cider.
Cider. CIDER.
Yes.
Very strange.
Good drink.
He told us the full story, but
This one's from Sam Tunley. Greetings, podcast crew. Sam here, writing in from Auckland, New Zealand. I don't have a top 10 list because there are just too many to choose from, but I want to talk about one game that I think defined this generation for me and showed me what this generation of games could do. I'm talking about the original Assassin's Creed. While it's certainly not the best game in the series, or even my favorite game on the PS3, it stands out because it was the first game on PS3 that completely and utterly boggled my mind. Most obviously, it was pretty. At the time, it was the best looking game I'd ever played. The animations were top notch, and nothing at the time compared to sitting atop one of the game's many towers and spires. The second thing that made AC1 stand out for me was the traversal system. Being able to free run and climb up any structure I wanted was something I'd never seen in a game before, and it completely blew me away. I agree, and for me, it was I think actually the assassinations or missions were sort of the most like thoughtful and interesting for me of the series. That's why I love the game. It's funny remembering back. Do you guys remember when they announced Assassin's Creed?
Yes.
I think it was just called like Assassin maybe or something.
Yeah.
That's some other name. It just showed that like that armor mail. It was like someone's shoulder, just like a shot of mail, and it was like, oh, that mail looks so next gen. And then it became Assassin's Creed.
would you like to take the next one there, Mr. Clements?
Sure. Free robots?
This one's
I'm a little confused.
let's just read it. This is from James _G959.
Free robot. We are giving away our new LinkedIn robot. It is a tiny robot that interacts with LinkedIn algorithms to initiate contact with new members. The catch, there is none, not even shipping charges. But you must promise to report any problem. Deal? Just reply and complete this free robot order.
Come on, free robot.
Free tiny robot.
Free tiny robot. We got the best spam, basically. We get a lot of really great spam.
Yeah, we do.
Podcast email.
Who writes this?
Free tiny robot is the best I've seen in a while. That's sure in episode 99, free tiny robot. That'd be great, and they're actually getting some marketing. Anyways, you want this last one, Sid?
Yeah, I guess I'll take that one. This is from Breath of Water. So I was having trouble at first figuring out how to turn off the PS4 controller. How it is done is you hold down the PlayStation button as you would on PS3 and then select Adjust Devices at the bottom. At the bottom is Turn Off Device, and if you select that, you should see DualShock 4. Selecting that will turn off DualShock 4. I'm loving my PS4, and last week's podcast was a delight. You should record another late night off the rails episode sometime soon.
We should.
PlayStation Blogcast after midnight.
After dark. I think actually people should send in. Remember we had a long time our tip of the week for PS3 and Vita. I think we need to revive that PS4 tip of the week. There's a million little things that I think that people don't realize. So.
I think in general,
and for me, actually, a quick trip while you're in those Adjust Devices settings. That's where you can lower the volume on the speaker on the controller.
Yep.
Because last night, after my girlfriend went to bed playing Resogun, it was like, the keepers. It was like, keepers. I was like, oh my god, keepers so loud. Turn that down.
Save the humans.
Yeah.
One thing
So send in your PS4 tips.
Send in PS4 tips. I'll get it started with another one. If you hold down the share button and go into the share button interface, or just press the share button, I guess, by default, you can hit options, and there's a setting that allows you easy screenshot mode. That's what it's all about. So if you select that, it means every time you hit the share button, you tap it, immediate screenshot. Press and hold to initiate the share menu. Yeah, so it just flips the functionality. But being able to just tap the share button to make a screenshot, that's where it's at.
That's cool.
That's where it's at. Yeah. So let's. Well, we have a couple iTunes reviews here. I want to make sure that we have time for Shuhei, though. So let's just get through the rest of this. We have a couple of iTunes reviews here. This one's from Unpronounceable. This is on iTunes. Of course, we love it when people subscribe to us there. This individual's review, the Unpronounceable is actually what I wrote because it was a bunch of symbols and stuff. Okay. I couldn't. There was the English tongue or the human tongue cannot pronounce this. The reviews,
it's like a Cthulhu.
Yeah. The title of this review was Great Content, Poor Delivery, and the individual assigned a 3 out of 5 star rating. I listened to the podcast for the content, which is very good, perhaps the best related to PlayStation. The show is okay to listen to when the hosts speak, except when they start talking over each other, which happens quite a lot lately. One of the hosts has a pretty annoying habit of making these sounds that always make me want to throw up. Also, his laugh is super annoying.
I think he's talking about me, not you. Right?
Yeah?
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, I think so.
No, he's definitely talking about Sid.
Because I always go,
No.
No,
and then I have a loud laugh.
All letters that hate one of the hosts is Sid.
Yeah,
we understand. We love Sid, but we understand this.
Okay.
Sid's specific proclivity is Sid is eccentric. I thought we stopped reading bad reviews.
Oh, no.
And good reviews.
Well, we stopped reading reviews about people who hate, who call us shills and stuff. That we're done with.
Yeah, we're done with that.
If you want to insult, other things, then you're...
Yeah, listen or don't. Yeah. This other one is from Malcontent Ronan. We need more shows than just appreciate gaming. 5 out of 5. The hosts here really are a lot of fun, and you can tell that they are very passionate about gaming and want everyone to enjoy it as much as they do. They will make you aware of all the games you need to be playing, from the biggest to the most obscure. And let's be honest, this is the only podcast I've ever heard mention MotorStorm, and that gets 5 stars from me. Thanks for all the wonderful discussion, and please keep it up.
Very nice.
I love MotorStorm. MotorStorm 2 specifically.
Yes, Pacifically.
I love MotorStorm 2 specifically.
That's very funny.
Tiny little robots.
Tiny robots.
So I think...
free robots.
Let's save our couple voicemails for episode 100, because I want more as well. 650-288-6706. Tell us, a great PlayStation memory, tell us about your first week with PS4. If you want to tell us your favorite moment of the show from the past 100 episodes, that's sort of self-aggrandizing, but I would accept it. I think that'd be pretty fun.
Or favorite interview.
Just want to leave any message for us. I'm promising that we will play quite a few of those on episode 100, because I'm editing that show. So
very nice.
Leave us some voicemail, 650-288-6706. So I'm going to wrap it up now, and then we're going to end with Shu's interview.
Yeah, we'll see you after the Thanksgiving break.
Yeah.
We will see you after that.
And thanks to Dormelon for our music, Corey Schmitz for our logo. Find us on the blog. Leave some comments there. Some of these were from the blog comments. These lesson letters from the blog comments this week.
Yes.
So we do add them into the outline. Find us on Facebook, Google+, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Leave us feedback in the blog post, like I just said. Like I said earlier, please subscribe in iTunes and rate us there. Mystery theme. We'll save a mystery theme for post-Thanksgiving.
We'll listen in after Thanksgiving.
We'll listen in. But thank you, Shu, for coming on the show.
A very special thanks. I think you guys are all going to enjoy this interview.
So let's listen in to Shuhei Yoshida name his top 10 favorite games of the PS3 generation. See you in a couple weeks.
Okay, we have a special guest here today. Worldwide Studios president, Mr. Shuhei Yoshida.
Hooray!
Yay! It's PS4 launch week. We're hanging out here at this PS4 review event in New York City, playing a bunch of games, meeting the press, talking to developers. It's been great, and Shuhei has graciously agreed to come by and join us on this week's show.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting.
Oh, my pleasure. So, a few thoughts here with PS4 just about to debut in North America. How do you feel? I mean, you've been so connected to this thing. You've had such a hand in it.
Yeah, this is a special launch, for me and for many of the Worldwide Studio people who are involved in the conception of PS4 from the very beginning. It's been a long journey, the last 5 years. And because we are so integral to the process of designing and developing PS4, the hardware features and software features and of course games, we feel like this is our baby.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, what we set out to accomplish for the day one of PS4, I think I feel like we have achieved like 80 to 90% of what we wanted to achieve, and in some regards even exceed our goal in terms of how well PS4 has been received by consumers so far, and the number of pre-orders. We are not even thinking about exceeding our past success of the launch of PlayStations. So it's such a wonderful feeling to be able to be a part of this process. And especially because I'm in front of the representing the company and talking to lots of consumers every day, and they are the part of forming what PS4 is going to be in terms of giving us the information and feedback on the what should be the priority of the features, implementations, and some of the messaging. We are very encouraged, and we are also being notified what features are more important to whom, and we are constantly tweaking our list of future tasks. Because we still have lots of long list of new features and new services that we want to continue to add on PS4 and the PlayStation Network. So we have lots of tasks ahead, but it's always very. We are confident that we can make the right choices for our consumers because they are very vocal and they are very approachable.
Yeah, it's very different releasing a console in the age of social media when everyone can tell you every step of the way what they think about every announcement you make. But it's cool because, like you said, we've been responsive to a lot of it and taking it into consideration for future updates or changes or anything.
Yeah, and I'd say Shuhei is one of the guys I thank on behalf of all gamers for that and being so receptive. I don't know how you find the time. I mean, I have people coming to me on my personal Twitter account too, and I do my best. But I mean, you have a lot of responsibilities, obviously, but you always seem to be able to make some time for gamers and to reassure them and give them updates. So I thank you for that. I think you've been an absolute just model of how to do it.
Oh, it's fantastic every day. These days, people send me on tweets the photos of their living room. They have purchased some games and DualShock 4, and there's a space that waiting for the PS4 to come. It's very neat, and so I always get some credit or encouragement or so it's wonderful. Every day is fun.
Outstanding. Yeah, so we've been, over the last few weeks, if you've been listening to the show, each of us have been kind of rotating through a very difficult series of games. It's a tough list to choose our favorite games of the PS3 generation. So, you've heard The Last of Us, you've heard a lot of the games you might suspect on there, and you've heard some interesting eclectic choices. I'm looking at Ryan Clements right now.
Yeah. I do have eclectic tastes.
Shu, did you find it to be like a hard process to come up with that list, or was it came pretty naturally?
Yeah, it took me like a couple minutes.
Couple of minutes?
That sounds pretty natural.
That's super fast. Mine took me like 3 weeks. I kept on making these guys go first so I could go last.
So, without further ado, Yoshida-san.
Yep.
And we didn't do these in any particular order. Now, if you'd rather do it that way and count it down to your, we did sort of choose a number one, though.
We ended with our number one.
Okay.
Yeah. You can read it out however you'd like.
And the only other thing I'll preface it with, too, is I'm curious to know what your sort of criteria is. Are these your favorite? Are there ones you think are, ones you'd recommend as the best? Are they sort of all those things?
Yeah, I'd like to, explain why, these games are on the top 10 list. So let me start by the number 10.
Sure.
Okay.
This might surprise people. It's Call of Duty 4, the Modern Warfare.
Yeah, that's on my list. That was on my list. I love that game. I thought it was fantastic.
The playing, I'm not the particularly shooter fan, but playing the single player of that game was amazing. The pacing and the presentations and the story and lots of surprises and. I think that game, the single player, especially like kickstarted this, generations of, like a definition of big blockbuster titles. And actually that created some casualties as well because many developers felt compelled to try out something similar in their own franchises, and not all of them worked out, very well. But still, that's game defined.
Yeah, and it's interesting too that one people think of it as like a multiplayer game too, and that was a big multiplayer landmark, and maybe forget about the single player. But like you said, it has some amazing moments and really well paced.
Yeah. So I highly respect what they've done.
Great.
Number 9 is big title. It just came out. Grand Theft Auto 5.
Nice.
And this is only number 9 because I'm only into the game for like 3 or 4 hours. Actually, I've been pretty busy with something. So I can see this game can go up the ladder as I play more. It's for one thing, technical marvel on PS3. It's amazing, this game is running on PS3. Same can be said with other games like The Last of Us, and this is another example of what the great developer can get out of on the PS3. And on top of that, it's so funny. It's amazingly funny to play this game, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm looking forward to coming back to this game, after some events is over.
Especially with that in the humor and writing, like Rockstar really does sort of like skewering pop culture better than anybody else. I feel like a lot of other people don't even really try to do that, but they sort of mastered it. Like here's the world as it is, but let's make fun of like everything. It's sort of like South Park, where like nothing is sacred.
It reminds me a lot of that. It's this sort of cynical take on everything, but it's very tongue in cheek.
Nothing is, or like The Onion, where like nothing is off limits, and there's sort of it's sort of like impeachable, like you can't, or unimpeachable, like you can't really question anything they do. They just, because they skewer everything evenly, you can't complain. You can't say they like mocked one thing more than another. But
good list so far. Killer list.
Number 8. Our own title, Little Big Planet. Yeah, so like Call of Duty 4 started this blockbuster type development. Obviously, Little Big Planet kickstarted this user generated content, and we still have millions of people as a community, enjoying the contents created by themselves, and it's amazing how people can use the tool to be very creative and do some amazing stuff. So obviously, Little Big Planet should be on the list of any influential games of this past generation.
Did you make levels as well? I know you're a big Sound Shapes creator, but did you make Little Big Planet levels too?
You are spoiling the.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yes, I made a couple levels. Maybe the first level I created with Little Big Planet was the two big baby characters because I had the twin babies born.
Right.
So awesome.
Yeah,
They're super cute too.
Thank you.
I've seen their photos.
Number 7, Persona 4 The Golden.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Great.
this game is such an amazing game. Yes, this game was originally released on PS2, but the how the developers put a lot of effort to add content and make use of the new PS Vita features. How they use the network features, like asynchronously you can help with each other, or synchronously, whatever. The game shows how developers cares about their work. And I'm not a big JRPG player actually. I was when I was younger. Like everybody. I grew up playing every single Dragon Quest or Final
Probably have
Fantasy
less time now.
games. But I've been out of this genre. Until I, tried Persona 4 Golden. I spent, 80 hours plus.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so highly respected, and I cannot wait for what's next from the team.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Number 6, Sound Shapes.
Sorry,
Look at
Spoiler. Actually, this is my top of the list from games from PS Vita. This is my personal best PS Vita games. Yeah, of course, it came out on PS3 and it's coming out on PS4 as well. But when you have PS Vita and use headphones and play this game, you can lose hours. When you are making levels and creating music as well as a game. So it's amazing how things can be made. Oh, actually, I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but when PS4 version comes out, the game is updated with the additional contents. Milk crate. And I was invited to do my own milk crate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so that will be on the on the game community section. So
that's amazing.
Exclusive. We have a Blogcast exclusive.
Yeah. So please try it out. I selected variety of different type of awesome levels.
That's great.
So,
do you have a favorite level or group of level in the campaign? Like the favorite artist?
Oh yeah, actually the very first level is still my favorite.
Yeah,
and it's my daughter's favorite level as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, because the game gets difficult very quickly. But the very first level is so nice and mellow and rhythmical and pretty. It's great for girls.
Yeah.
So that was number 6, and number 5 is Uncharted 2. Yeah, I still remember the E3 demo.
Oh yes.
Of that
How could you forget, right?
Yeah. I was busy picking up my jaws, right, like everybody. Wow. Yeah. So like Call of Duty 4. This game unfortunately had too much of an impact to some of the other developers, and some not all developers worked out this amazing edge of the seat kind of experience. But of course, Uncharted 3 is great as well. But in terms of impact to player, myself as a game player, Uncharted 2 is such a memorable.
And was a really big leap from the first Uncharted as well.
Yes,
really
that as well.
Turned everything up. Yeah.
And number 4, no surprise, The Last of Us.
Oh, it's only on number 4?
Yeah, this game is amazing. Not only that the game is very tense and scary, but also the depiction of the relation of the characters and how you grow to feel for these game characters. That's amazing what the Naughty Dog have done, and obviously I cannot wait for what's next from the team. So it's my number 4.
This is a great list.
Yeah, I love
I'm on the
this
edge of my
list.
seat myself. What's next?
And next, actually, there's no number 3 because I have tie for number 2.
Okay.
So they are Demon Souls and Dark Souls.
I did that too on my list.
Yeah, so I admit I spend hours and hours during the day in the office and at home. When Dark Souls came out, I was going 2 accounts at the same time and spent 80 hours on the account I had at home and maybe 50 on the one during the office. So people may ask me, did I work? I don't know. And also I was checking out the YouTube video of people playing the game because this game is perfect to learn from other players how to attack the same situation with very different strategies. That was really fun, and lots of things these games in Demon Souls and Dark Souls did, like leaving the message to other people asynchronously, so you feel connected but not really connected at the same time. All these things inspired us when we are designing the system features for PS4.
That's interesting. I was going to kind of make that connection, but I didn't want to go out on a limb. But it sounds kind of,
Yeah, like a sharing feature.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy so much watching, people playing Dark Souls on YouTube. And so, these games, still, have a special place in my memory.
Would you invade other people's games?
Well, I got invaded.
I got invaded,
yeah,
but didn't do any invading.
Yeah, so it was funny when I was playing the game in the office hours, right? Yeah, so I got a phone call or something. So I was picking up the phone and I forgot to pause it, and I just left my characters, alone. And when I finished the call, my characters dead. Someone came in too and killed my character.
Someone out there killed poor Shuhei.
Yeah, terrible.
I was punished by playing games during the office hours. Anyway, so number 1.
I'm dying with tension here. I don't know what this could be. My mind.
I have a guess.
You have a guess? Don't spoil it.
I won't spoil it. But.
Yeah, so I disagree with Sid on this. My number 1 is Journey.
There you go.
Oh,
nice. Good choice.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's rare but so special when you encounter a game during your playthrough, naturally the tears comes out. You are so moved, you are so influenced by what happening during the playthrough. Like, it's coming back to me. It's personal because when I was playing the game towards the end, I was thinking about my grandmother, who passed away a couple of years ago. So that had an enormous impact on me emotionally. And it was just 2 hours or so, but I still remember, the playthrough. And one of the things the Genova talked about during his speech at DICE was how he got a letter from a girl, who lost her father, but during the process of her father dying, she was playing Journey, and she felt that she was going through that journey, with her father, and she was able to kind of overcome the difficulty. So that's my very emotional, number 1 of the Last Generation.
Thank you for sharing it with us.